Hello folks, and welcome to our Geographics webinar. Today we'll be taking a look at Field Planner 2016.1. My name is Nikita Kazakov and I will be your tour guide through Field Planner. Let's get started. The overall vision of Field Planner consists of a couple of parts. The first part is to have the ability to lay out field plans in minutes. Then we want to be flexible in changing locations and making decisions as they change. And third, we want to see the whole entire thing in a 3D world. So what's new in Field Planner 2016.1? A lot of things actually. First of all, we were able to plan stacked laterals for multiple formations. This includes using the forked configurations, the opposing configurations, and the multi-branched stacked laterals. In order to quickly plan your wells all over the map, we now allow you to rapidly duplicate your plans and your wells. Then we allow you to associate your existing wells with the slots that you have created in field planning. This is great because it allows you to use existing wells in Wellbase and use them as field planned wells. Finally, we have this new pad management within Field Planner that allows you to delete pads right from there. Alright, so what are the tools that we're going to use? Three tools. One, Field Planner and the map itself. Then we're going to use Gverse Planner to create surveys. And finally, Pro3D in order to visualize everything in a 3D scene. It's a total integrated package. Let's take a look at how duplication works. So I go ahead and I grab the pad and I just drag it to another place and it duplicates. And I can drag it again and it duplicates again, and you'll notice it actually cuts off the wells right at the lease zones. So it makes it that much easier to plan your wells quickly. I can also go ahead and make some small adjustments by moving the pad location to another place, and the surface locations will change while the laterals will stay in the same place. Let's take a look at surveys with Gverse Planner. Every time I move, you'll notice that the map on the right hand side will update as I move my wells. This is great because there's no need to click any update button. Everything happens in real time. Everything is auto synced. Third, if we want to avoid hazards, we can also move points on the map itself, and you'll notice that as we move those points, they update on the left hand side in Gverse Planner. This makes it great because you can now avoid visual hazards that you see on the map. Now think about this. You have three monitors, or at least two monitors in your office. On one monitor you have the 3D display of Pro3D. On another monitor, the Gverse Planner setup, and on the third monitor you have the map itself. Every time you make a change in one of these applications, it automatically reflects to the other applications. Just like this, take a look. So I move something in Gverse Planner, and the 3D scene updates, and so does the map. Now I can go ahead and I can put multiple points in there, start moving those around, and you'll notice that it not only updates, but you can also put a seismic backdrop as well to help you plan those wells. And that makes it that much easier for you to stay in sync. Alright folks, let me show you the actual demo. I just wanted to give you the dessert before the entire meal, but now I'm going to give you the meal here. For the demo, we're going to set up tracts and leases, then we're going to quickly lay out 20 wells on multiple pads. We're going to plan the wellbore surveys, see the entire project in a 3D scene, and then create the geoprognosis reports so that we can give those to the drillers. I have my GeoAtlas map opened to the Texas area of the Barnett Shale, and you'll notice that I have a satellite image draped. You'll also notice that I have a couple of wells in the background in the satellite image. I've selected a couple of those locations, and you'll see them outlined with the green. So I have 4 locations where we are going to plan wells. Let's launch Field Planner to begin. It's this icon right over here, and it's launched over here. So what I'm going to do is create a new plan. And while it's creating the plan, you'll notice that in the bottom left corner over here, you have the list of available pads. If you already selected or created pads in Geographics and you want to use those for your field plans, you can go ahead and select them from here. You can also delete them from here as well. For this example, I'm going to ask Field Planner to automatically create a pad for me. Let's click on AutoPad and go ahead and specify our first and last slot locations right over here on this pad. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. All right, there we go. And on the right-hand side, you'll notice that we have configuration options. We have the layout, either two-sided or one-sided. So two-sided is the opposed laterals, and the one-sided is just a forked configuration. I'm going to pick one-sided for this example. For the number of slots, let's go ahead and put 5 slots. If you have a digital elevation model, this is very useful. Go ahead and select it, and you'll notice that digital elevation model allows Field Planner to automatically calculate the elevation of the pad without you having to do it manually. Once that's done, we can go ahead and we can override any of these location points if we want to, the ones that we selected by clicking on the pad. So I'm going to override the spacing. I want a smaller spacing of 30 feet instead of 150. And for the laterals, let's go ahead and put some information here. We already have our azimuth, well spacing, step out. These are just defaults that we put in here. Kickoff, heel to toe of 8,500 feet. Toe adjustment, you can also adjust the toe up and down, however many feet you want. And once you're happy with this, let me just show you a diagram here as well. Once you're happy with this, you can go to the right-hand side and select your surface, target surface pretty much. In this case, it's going to be the Barnett target surface, and you can offset your laterals to go above or below that target surface location, layer. Once you're done with that, let's go ahead and update our pad. And when we do that, we notice that we now have wells coming off of this pad right over here and going down. There's 5 of them. Let's see if we can make them a little bit more visible. We can go ahead and play with this layer because it's an Esri layer. Right click, say Layer Display Attributes, and I'm going to dig a little deeper into here, say select Well Stick, and let's go ahead and change that color to blue and give it a little bit of weight. There we go, perfect. So we see 5 sticks coming off. Now let's say you need to move the pad a little bit, something like that. That's not an issue at all. Go ahead and select that pad on the map, and you can go ahead and just move it a little bit or a lot. It's up to you. And I can click move, and it'll move the entire thing. Now what if you wanted to move the pad location but not the location of the laterals? Well, that's okay. You can do that too. Go ahead and move that pad and say move pad and surface locations only, and click OK. And you'll notice that's exactly what it does. Now let me show you the third option. What if you want to replicate a lot of these pads and wells on the map pretty quickly? We can do that too. Go ahead and pick up that pad and move it to the location where you want it to be. For this example, I'll move it over here. Drop it, say duplicate, click OK. There we go. Just like that. And I can go ahead, drop it over here, duplicate, just like that. And for my third example, drop it over here and duplicate. Pretty easy. Now, what does that mean? That means we technically have already laid out 20 sticks on the map. Now, some people have asked me, well, how do you lay out these sticks using a ruler so that you have a specific buffer around the wells of, let's say, 500 feet or 1,000 feet or something like that? This is a good question because we have a way to do that. We can use our field guide. Go ahead, right-click and say Layer Display Attributes on the field plan, open it up, and go ahead and make the field guide active. Put the little eye symbol on and go to Advanced Rendering. For spacing, you can specify how big of a spacing it should have. And also you can change the color, the weight, and the style, and also the azimuth. So what you want to do is you want to space it to whatever spacing you have in Field Planner, 300, and I have 300 over there. And also, according to your azimuth, I have 164, so I would pick 164. Click OK. click OK again, and you'll notice you have a nice field guide right on the map that you can take your wells and align according to it. The other thing I wanted to show you was, let's go ahead and turn off the field guide. There's another way to do this. You can go ahead and turn on the well stick buffer. It's located right over here. And when I turn it on, you'll notice that all the well sticks, they have a buffer right around them, which makes it that much easier to make sure that you don't get any closer than you really want to. So watch, I can move any of these wells, and you'll notice they always have a buffer around them. All right, the next step is to make sure that we have not drilled in areas that we don't own. So let's zoom out a little bit, and you'll notice I already have a lease layer called demo leases right over here. In fact, these beige areas that you see over here are leases that we do not own. So what's going on? We have problems, don't we? Because our wells are going through leases that we don't own, and that's not good. Here's what we can do. Go ahead and launch Lease Planner from right here, and you'll notice that I can import any shapefile in terms of leases and start selecting tracts that I own and the tracts that I don't own, and they will update on the map. So I want to show you this. I can go ahead and just select multiple tracts or one track, right click, and say specify a setback, for example 300 foot setback over here, click OK, and it updates. If I want to edit any of the setbacks, you can do that as well anywhere on the map. So I can select this and say, okay, I want to modify this setback to 400 feet. Easy. Once that's done, click Update the Map, and the map updates on the fly. Now, let's ask Field Planner to automatically cut these wells. Go into Field Planner and select your lease area. Once the lease area is selected over here, Demo Leases, I'm just going to update everything in the map. And you'll notice that it cuts all the wells right to the lease lines. Now this is great because I can go ahead and I can make changes. So I can select any of the pads, I can move them, and it doesn't matter. Because even if you move those pads, it'll update all the wells and it'll properly cut them off to make sure that they do not intersect tracts that you do not own. This in itself is going to save you a lot of time and heartache of not having your wells intersect areas that are not your own. All right, folks, we have our sticks. Let's go ahead and create surveys for those. And the way we're going to do that is by using Lease Planner. So I'm going to open that up, and you'll notice that when I open it up, it automatically has 4 of my pads over here. And when I open them up, it has laterals with 5 wells. So let's go ahead and click on the first well here. And you'll notice that it's a left to right workflow. Start with the Edit, Calculate, 3D View, Survey, and GeoProgs tabs. So I have my 4 initial points, the surface, the kickoff, the heel, and the toe. Let's say I want to change any of those locations because I have the most accurate coordinates. I can do that by clicking on the pencil tool and writing them in right over here. I can also, actually this would be a better example, I can also specify it in latitude and longitude. Once you're done with that, go ahead and click on the Calculate tab. Now in the Calculate tab, you'll notice the yellow lines. These yellow lines are your surfaces. Where do we get them from, you ask? Well, we get them from here, from the Layer Display dialog box right here. Any surfaces you have in GeoAtlas over here are going to get displayed in Lease Planner. So I'm going to zoom in a little closer. First of all, you'll notice the surface, kickoff point, landing point, bottom hole location. Let's go ahead and zoom in closer. I zoom in. You'll notice that the green line, that's the actual deviation survey, doesn't quite go along the surface, does it? So we can fix that. We can go ahead and give it guide points. I'm going to give this 3 guide points. Click Enter, and it automatically jumps right to that surface. It contours right around it. This is great. What we can do here is pick up any point and move it around. And you'll notice that as I move points, you see that red line? That means that our well is not feasibly drillable because we're exceeding our dogleg severity restrictions. So I can either move it back or I can go ahead and override the defaults. You have the approach dogleg severity, which is from the surface to the landing point, and the lateral dogleg severity, which is from the landing point to the bottom hole. I'll leave it as it is. All right, if we click on a 3D view, it just gives us a preliminary 3D view of how it looks like, just to make sure you're not doing something silly. Next is the survey tab. We have all our survey information here that you can go ahead and view in Microsoft Excel as well by clicking this button. That makes it real easy to work with your information, especially if you create a macro afterwards. All right, the last thing is geoprogs. This is very cool. So you have to give geoprogs to your drillers. Now, how do you generate them? Pretty easy over here. Once we're happy with this well, we can go ahead and we can save it. So go ahead and save to database. Now, one of the questions might be, well, can I edit the name of this well, the API? Yes, you can. Click on edit and you can give it whatever well ID you want it to have. So that's not a problem. Go back into Well Planner and you'll notice that the Geoprog tab activates. Go ahead and start selecting your surfaces. So I'm going to associate these surfaces to the actual isomaps. And I have LS, Basal Atoka, Upper Barnett, and finally my Barnett target surface. Right there. Perfect. Once that's done, these are all your surfaces with all the intersections. You can do two things. One, display them in Excel, or two, save them in database. Or if you want, do them both. If you save them to database, here is the cool part. Go back into GeoAtlas. Go ahead and open Wellbase. You see that well list? Go ahead and scroll down because you'll find your well that was saved. Scroll down, select it, and go to the proposed. Actually, no, not the proposed. Well, first of all, proposed survey tab. If I go in here, you'll notice you have the entire survey right here. It's awesome. It got saved right here, and including the pad name and the slot number. Very nice. Now we can go to the formations tab. Click on that, and you'll notice that this Geoprog report got saved into your formations tab. The source is called Geoprog. All these surfaces are filled out for you automatically right over here, all in one spot. That is going to save you a lot of time. All right, that's pretty much the workflow well by well in Lease Planner. Let me go ahead and plan some of these other wells really quickly here. Whoops, there we go. Click on this one, plan this one too. All right, good enough for now. I mean, this is a first pass here, right? So we planned a couple of wells here, and I'm going to leave the other ones. I'll actually just click on them in order to plan them, but I'm not really going to put any target points or move them in any way. There we go. Now, if I go back to the map, you'll notice when I zoom in that these wells are no longer sticks. They're actually your normal wells with deviated surveys to them. There we go, and they're all aligned properly. So let's go ahead and now view all of this in a 3D view. Here's how we're going to do it. Let's zoom out a little bit. And we're going to specify the region that we want to see in 3D by using this rectangle right here. I'm going to select this region. It could be as small or as big as you want it to be. I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the satellite image for now. And let's go ahead and see this in 3D. So as 3D is loading, what's going to happen? All these layers that you see in GeoAtlas in the layer selection dialog box right here, they're all going to be automatically opened within Pro 3D. So you'll see the same layers as you see here, except in a 3D scene. So let's go ahead and open this up. We have wells on the left-hand side, you have surfaces, and you have the image layer, which I'll close for now. I can zoom in, and you'll notice I have quite a bit of surfaces. Let's close a couple of them. Just click on the eye symbol, and I'm going to open the DEM grid and also the Barnett target surface. Now, watch this. So we can get closer. We can click on the surface here, and we can drape any GeoAtlas layer that we want right on the surface. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and drape the satellite image right on there. Boom, right there. I can also go ahead and even drape that field plan layer, anything, culture layer, whatever you got, you can drape over any of the layers that you have. This makes things a lot easier. You can also vertically exaggerate, and there's camera speed, and there's a lot of options in here. This is a full-fledged 3D software we're talking about here. So let me go into the subsurface, where you'll notice that we have our wells that we planned right there. You see all those target points? Those are the target points that we put in through Lease Planner and Field Planner. I can go ahead and display the Barnett target surface right on that surface. There you go. If I go ahead and vertically exaggerate, you'll notice that the surface is not flat. It's not a flat surface at all. But our wells, the wells that we actually planned, align right along that surface. It makes it really cool because now you're actually planning wells properly along surfaces. So we can also get closer and display seismic on any of these wells. So click display, display seismic, and it wraps right around that well. Why is this cool? Because you can now go into Lease Planner, put it on your other screen, put it on one of those screens that you have that's empty, and you can now move any of the points, and you'll notice that everything updates. Oh, it's right over here. You'll notice everything updates on the fly. See that? And the same thing happens in GeoAtlas as well. It updates on the fly right there. So pretty cool. You can make any changes you want to the target points and you can see them visually. Now, Pro3D is a big application. I'm not going to go into a lot of it. I just wanted to show you the things that are limited to Field Planner and Well Planner. Generally in Pro3D, you can show log curves around those wells. You can show formation tops, cross sections, fence diagrams. You can put prism log templates. You can view your microseismic data and also animated your spatial analysis, bubble maps, pie charts, your production data, perforations, your zone data as well that you might have put into Zone Manager. In the end, all three applications, they're all going to be integrated together. You make a change in one, everything is going to update in the others. That's the end of the demo, folks. Today, what I showed you was the total integration between the map, the 3D, and the field and the well planning, and how they sync together in order for us to build these well plans on the map. We built 20 of them, 20 wells today. We had a rapid layout with duplication. That's a new feature. It was pretty easy to change where the wells and the sticks are located on the map, and we could support multiple configurations, including stacked laterals. I appreciate you joining me today on this webinar. If you want to see this webinar again, you can go to our website, lmkr.com, and go to the webinars section. It'll be posted over there. If you have acquired some of our applications or are looking to acquire a couple of these applications and you might need some help with advanced training, you can also get that information on our website as well. Finally, if you want to request a quote on this, either email us at products@lmkr.com or contact one of your regional sales managers. Thank you very much for being here with us today, and we will see you next time.